So I've been shooting a lot of this CINESTILL film recently. I've made some presets that I've been teasing a little bit on Instagram. They're ready now, and a lot of you are very keen for me to release them. So I'm a little bit ill, but I'll try and make videos to show you how to use them and release them so you can have them. I have made a pack with 800T, 50D and the black and white stock, which is XX. Now, if you don't know about CINESTILL, it's a company that takes motion picture film and adapts it for photographic cameras using the C41 process. CINESTILL 800T is the one that a lot of people seem to be most interested in. And that's quite a unique stock. It's a tungsten balanced stock, is what the T stands for. And it has a very greeny blue cast. There's also a very distinctive red halation around the lights. Also quite prone to light leaks and stuff I've found. But it has a very distinctive look. It's very popular to shoot at night. It's nicknamed the gas station stock because it's a cliche to go out and shoot petrol stations at night with it. So I've been doing that. I've also made 50D, which the D stands for daylight. That's daylight balanced stock. And as I say, I've got the XX, which is the black and white one. So let me show you how to install them and use these. So once you've downloaded this, it will be a zip file. Once you've unzipped it, it will be this folder here called CINESTILL. In that, you should have two folders, Lightroom Presets and Photoshop Actions. In your Lightroom Presets folder, you have this folder, and in there are your Lightroom presets. And there's also one profile that works with the XX preset. In your Photoshop Actions folder, you've got this one file, which is a whole folder full of Photoshop Actions. So let me show you how to install these. So in Lightroom Classic, go to your Develop module, and over here you'll have your Presets menu. Click this little plus and go to Import Presets. In your CINESTILL folder, simply select All and Import. And here they are. In Adobe Lightroom CC, the one that links to your mobile version, click this little icon up here and then click this Presets button down here. Once you're in here, click this ellipsis and go to Import Presets. Again, locate your presets, select them all and import. And once you've installed them in this version, they should sync to your mobile application and you'll be able to use them in your mobile app as long as you have a Creative Cloud subscription. Now you can use these in your Camera Raw dialog box in Photoshop as well. What you'll need to do for that is go to Filter and Camera Raw Filter, and then go to this icon here, which is your presets. Now, if it's installed in Lightroom, it will be here already. If it's not, you can go to this ellipsis and go to Import Profiles and Presets and do it that way. To install the Photoshop Actions, go to your Actions menu here. If it's not showing, you can go to Window and click Actions to show it. Click this menu icon here and go to Load Actions. Go into your Photoshop Actions folder and find that, open it, and there we go. So let me take you through these looks and how to use them. I do test them on a lot of cameras. As you can see, all the cameras here from all different brands and everything. So rest assured, I do make sure these are working across the board. So in this pack, you get some frame effects, the film stocks here, and then you can reset just the preset or the frame. So we'll start with 50D, which is the daylight balance stock. I've got a 35mm version and a 120 version. So you can put that on there like that and maybe put a frame on it. It gives you a kind of, I've got a few different versions here, slightly kind of wonky film frame look to it. That's before and after. Let's look at it on some skin tones. Quite a nice sort of warm kind of peachy look to the colours. That's before and after. Put a frame on that, always like a frame. If you crop with these frames, they will disappear. If you just want to put it back on again, just click the frame again and it will reset itself. And of course you can take the frame off with the reset frame. In sunlight, let's have a look what that looks like. 35mm version, the 120 version. Let's go for 35mm here, and I'm going to give it a big frame there. Let's have a look at it on this car shot. So as well as 50D, I've got the XX here, which I'll just show you quickly. So to show you just what black and white looks like, that's just black and white. But if I show you a XX, that's kind of what it looks like. It has this kind of soft, grainy, slightly warm kind of look to it. Stick a frame on that. This looks very film-like to me. Outside, on a sort of overcast day, you get that kind of look to it. It's a very distinctive look, I think. Undercover, that's from a Sony camera, that one. I think this is another Sony. Yeah, this is a Sony shot. I've tested these on Fuji, Canon, Pentax, Nikon, Leica, all sorts. So let's crop that in a bit. Stick it on that one. Nice, give it a frame. Before, after, just a couple of clicks. I do like this one quite a lot. It's not one people talk about very much, but it's a nice one to use. It's a nice one to experiment with. So let's move on to the big one, which is the 800T. So I found when I was shooting this that it has a different kind of look in the day and the night. So I've done daylight versions and night versions. It works better in the day than you'd imagine. I don't love it in the day, to be honest. Not when you've got stocks like Portrait and things like that, which give you really nice skin tones. The skin tones aren't bad, but they're a little bit green. They're just sort of on the acceptable side. I wouldn't tend to shoot it for daylight, but I've put the option in there, and it can look all right in certain situations. So if I show you here, it's just a bit greeny. Let me show you on this one, because I actually took an actual version of this one, which I'll show you on the screen now. This is what I do when I make presets. I go out with the film, and I also take another camera, and I shoot as identical a shot as I can, and then make sure they kind of match up with the presets. That's your daylight look, which has a certain charm to it. Has that kind of bluey, cold haze to it, because it's a tungsten balanced stock. Let's look at it on this one. Again, yeah, it's okay, but I'll show you how the colours come out with this one. It looks very film-like, I'll give it that, you know. But there's a reason people like shooting this at night. So let's have a look at this one, which I also shot again. Here's the actual 35mm version. So let's try and match this one up. It's a bit wonky. I'm just gonna sort that out first. With this, I love this transform thing in Lightroom, it's magic. Right, so let's give it a look. Let's give it, that's a bit too blue. That works quite well. Let's give it a night one. There we go. That works quite well. So now we've got that, I want to get the red halation on the lights. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to press Command and E, or Control E if I was on Windows, and that will open it up in Photoshop. So here we are in Photoshop, and we've got different kinds of red glows. We've got a mask version, a selection version, some automatic versions, some for large and some for smaller, and that tends to be the size of the image. The way this works, it tries to detect what the lights are and then make a halation around it, and sometimes it gets it right, sometimes it doesn't, sometimes it needs a bit of tweaking, sometimes you need to completely do it manually, but I'll show you. So let's try auto red glow first, see what this one does. Now it's given us a little bit of haze around the lights, but it's a little bit soft. It's also picking up on the road here a little bit, so it's made it as a layer. So I'm just going to delete that layer, and I'm going to try version 2, because there's 2 different versions of this. This isn't a big image, it's a medium size image. It's from a Canon. Ah, that looks better. I like that. Look at that. That's got that nice kind of halation around the lights. Do you know what, actually I'm going to do both. I'm going to add red glow as well, and with that one actually I'm just going to erase some of these bits down here, and actually with these it's picked up some just down there which shouldn't be there. So there we go, that auto one has worked pretty well. If I press Command S to save that, or Control S if you're on a PC, I'll shut it down and get back to Lightroom. That's where we were, and that's what the preset has done. So let's have a look at maybe this. I'll try another 35mm night version. It's a bit bright. Let's just pull it down a little bit. That looks about right. There's different versions. That's less green. That one's quite blue. That one has a darker black. But I found often the blacks were quite faded. I've also got a couple of medium format versions which are less grainy and a bit sharper and a bit cleaner. But there's something quite nice about the 35mm. I tend to shoot medium format when I'm shooting film. I don't really like 35mm for most film stocks, but there was something nice about the lo-fi nature when using CINESTILL. The bluey, grainy nature just seemed to suit the format. So let's Command E or Control E on Windows to open this up in Photoshop. So let's try a strong glow. That's interesting. This is probably going to work quite well actually if I just erase some bits here. And there we go. Just got that glow there on those lights. That's worked quite well. So let me show you how these other methods work. So let me show you how the mask version works. So you need to press Q or go into quick mask mode. And then you just need to draw kind of roughly just around the lights. So there's a light there, a light there, a light there. There's one here. I make the brush a bit smaller. There's one there, one there, one there. We can probably count that as a light. And there's a couple down here. That's probably enough. And now you've got your mask versions here, this one and this one. I'm going to go to the strong one, just press play. There we go. We've got a nice glow now around the lights. And if you don't like that, you can erase bits, or you can take the fill down to take the effects down, or you can put it up if you really want it strong. Let's go to a cliched garage or gas station if you're in America shot. Let's try that. That's a bit too grainy for me. That's a bit dark. Maybe the grainy's all right. You know, actually, I'm going to do that, and I'm just going to pull up the brightness slightly. There we go. That's quite nice. Number 2. So I'm going to open that up in Photoshop with Command and E or Control E on a PC. So here we are in Photoshop. Let's try an auto red glow. See what happens here. It's not really done enough. Let's put the fill up and the opacity. With that, then it starts to work. But let's try a stronger one. Let's try Auto Red Glow Strong. See what happens here. That's a bit better. But I'm just going to erase some of this because that's not really lights there. There we go. So I've also got these flares because I noticed quite a lot of flaring when I was shooting the stock. So if I'm going to generate a flare here, and I'll show you what that looks like. So here's a flare. You can see you can kind of move that around. Maybe it's just on that light there. You've got 3 different versions. You've got 10 different light leaks as well, and they use the image itself to generate themselves. So they should look different on each image. So let's try light leak 1. Let's go completely overboard on this. That's quite nice. It's a bit intense, so we can take that down a little bit. Just give it a little bit. See what light leak 7 does. That's quite cool. I like that, but it's a little bit too overpowering, I think. So I'm just going to delete it for now, and we'll just leave it at light leak 1. Let's move this flare just slightly. Maybe it's just coming off here from a light in another frame. So brought that back into Lightroom now, and if I go back to the one before we put the flares on, if I just reset JW preset, that will keep the exposure that we added, but take away all the things the preset did. So that's the original, and that's where we ended up. So I'll say one thing about these presets. They are certainly a lot of fun to play with, especially all the light leaks and the halation and the flares and all that. Especially at the moment, because it's winter and it's just dark all the time in Britain. You get about half an hour of daylight, and then the rest of the time is just dark. So you get lots of opportunity to photograph lights at night. And so I found I've been using these quite a bit. Oh, I almost forgot. I need to just show you how the selection works for the halation. It's very much like the masking, except you use a selection. So for these here, I might use an elliptical mask like this, and then click the selection action, and there we go. That's worked quite well here. So I'll put a link below this video where you can go and purchase these if you want to get them. You'll be helping to support my channel if you do that, so anyone who does do that I am very grateful to. So I should have a new video essay coming out fairly soon. It's kind of ready to record, but I've been just too ill for ages to record it. Still got a bit of a cough, but I'm getting over it. So hopefully in the new year that will come out, but I thought I'd just put this out just to get these presets out. So I did try to make these halation effects work in Lightroom in some way. It's a shame I had to kind of do it in Photoshop really. I wanted it all to be a bit neater, but it's kind of impossible to make as a preset in Lightroom because you can do kind of workarounds with local adjustment brushes and you can kind of paint them in. But it never looks quite right to me, and the method you use completely changes from shot to shot. What works on one background won't work on another, because what you really need is blending modes like you have in Photoshop. You need screen layers and linear dodge layers, and you're not able to do that in Lightroom. So Adobe, if you're listening, please, blend modes on local adjustment brushes in Lightroom would be most welcome. But as I say, the good news is you can do this in Photoshop. And if you don't do this in Photoshop, you can still have the presets. You can still use the presets. But this halation effect will be something you will miss out on. So I'm just going to hop back into Lightroom and show you what you can do with the local adjustment brushes. I'm just going to take a brush here. I'm going to push the exposure up and I'm going to choose this color down here and make it red. Now I'm going to paint in over the lights. Maybe take the exposure down a little. And that looks okay, but it's not quite as convincing as the Photoshop version, I don't think. But the main problem is that while this works on this image, if I were to do this on another image, the process would be completely different. But have a play around if you don't have Photoshop. You can normally make something work some way or another, but hopefully we will get blend modes in Lightroom at some point, and I can then re-release these with it all done in Lightroom. So there's a link to download these below this video. If you click that, it'll take you to my website that'll take you onto selfie.com, which is where you can purchase them from. Remember, you do need the Creative Cloud version of Lightroom for these to work. These do not work in Lightroom 6. Please do not purchase them if you have Lightroom 6, as I can't give refunds for digital downloads. Ideally, you need version 10.1, and if you have Creative Cloud, you should be able to just update that because that has the three-way color correction instead of the split toning that the older version of Lightroom had. If you have any problems with these, just give me an email by going to my website and filling in the form on there, or send me an email, I will reply. Please don't try to tell me about a problem by writing in the comments of this video because I don't get notifications for all comments and there's a chance I might miss it. And also don't send me a direct message on Instagram because I get so many message requests that I can't realistically read them all. Anyway, if you're watching at the end of 2020, then I should have another video essay coming out soon. I've just been a bit too ill to record it. And well done everyone for getting through 2020 because it's been a difficult year, I think, to put it mildly. And if we've made it through this far, we can make it to the end of this pandemic. Anyway, take care, stay safe, and I will see you in the new year. Bye-bye.